Hello and welcome to ICT for Teachers. In today's lecture, I want to show you how you can design simulations meant for teaching, especially those teachers who are handling physics. Over here, you can see I have a simulation showing straight waves in a repo tank. I've designed this repo tank using Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint. So in today's lecture, I want to show you how you can use these two softwares to be able to come up with simulations of the sort, and perhaps you can use some of the skills that you're going to learn in this video to design simulations of your own in other areas of study. And let's head over to the first step in designing this repo tank, and we'll start with Microsoft Word, where we want to first of all draw this diagram as accurately as it looks, and then we will go to PowerPoint, where we are going to add the various animations so that students can be able to see real plane waves moving across the repo tank and even having a reflection of those waves at the very bottom. So without wasting time, let's go to Microsoft Word. So here we are in Microsoft Word. This is the diagram that we want to draw. Like you can see, I've already drawn the plane waves as seen from the sides and partly as seen from above. It is a three-dimensional diagram that allows you to see the front elevation, end elevation, and the plan. That is, you can see all those elevations at the same time. And then this one, we draw them in Word. Like you can see, the software I'm using here is Microsoft Word. And now I want to take you step by step on how to do that. So I've zoomed in over here to 200%. So I want to zoom out to 100% so that I can create a drawing canvas in the second page. So let's go to page layout, breaks, and I go to the next page here. Like you can see, my page here already has a grid. Probably when you open Microsoft Word, you'll find that maybe yours is blank. This is how you put the grid over here. I'm using Microsoft Word 2010. I'm using Office 2010. So you'll go to View, and under the group of tabs named Show, you will check grid lines. Notice what happens when I uncheck that. The grids disappear, so you're going to check that so that the grids appear. When the grids are there, they are going to make sure that our diagram is proportional. I don't have to use a ruler. I can just use the squares to approximately guide me as to the length of the wavelength or the amplitude that I need for the various waves. Now, while I'm still on this page, I'm going to insert shapes. But before I do that, I need a drawing canvas. So you'll go to Shapes, Insert, Shapes, go all the way to the bottom, New Drawing Canvas. You insert it there, and you can see there is all this boundary. So I want to make it as big as possible. So over here, you move it to the side here until you have that double-sided arrow. Left click and then drag all the way to the edge of the paper, and maybe at the bottom here all the way to some point there. So we are going to draw our diagram inside this canvas. Always start with a canvas. Next, I'll go back to Insert, Shapes, and the shape that I want is this cuboid here, or the cube. So I'll click on it, come over here, and just click, and my cube appears here. Then I'm going to change its length. You know, it's possible to change its length. And then I'm going to change its height when I come to this point here, this yellow square. Click on it, drag it downwards like that, and you can see my cuboid has changed shape close to what I'm looking for. So let me just stretch. For you to stretch this cuboid, all you need is to grab one of these corners over here or here. Like for instance, I want this cuboid to be exactly along the grid lines. So I'm going to grab this, and also this other one is okay. This one is okay. All the lines along the grid. That one is very important when you are drawing. You always make sure that that is the case. So I'm going to change this cube in order to get the waves that I've shown you here, to get this type of waves. How do I do that? Okay, I start by observing that this will be the height of the water in the repo tank, and this will be the length of the repo tank, and the students can observe the waves from this side as well as from above. And at the bottom here, I'm going to have a screen. I'm going to put the screen later on, and what you're meant to observe on the screen much later. So when I use these arrow keys on my keyboard, I'm able to move it to a comfortable position, maybe all the way to some point somewhere around there. And then I will come to Format, Fill in. I want to remove all the color, so I don't want it to be fill in. I want to see right through it, so that later on I can bring that color if I want. I'll just go to Format, Shape Fill, and then choose any one of these colors. Choose any one of those colors. For now, I don't want any color because I want to see right through. Then I'll go to Shape Outline. When I'm on Shape Outline, I want to reduce these lines to be as thin as possible because there are several lines in this cube and we want to identify them clearly. So I want to use thin lines, but probably when I use thin lines, you might not be able to see it in the video. So I'm going to try and just retain the lines to be to have that thickness, and probably we are going to I'm going to emphasize that point. But remember, when you're designing your own, use very thin lines. When you use very thin lines, then it makes your diagram to be as accurate as possible. The other thing that I want to do, I'm going to increase the percentage. I'm going to zoom in so that it becomes easier when carrying out certain functions. And in order to do that, we'll go to View, Zoom, and then I can choose the percentage that I want. I want to double the percentage, go to 200. That one is good enough. You can see it is big enough. So let me move it a little bit to the right, there. And you can see that my lines are along the grid lines. They are along the grid lines. And remember, you can change the height of the water at any one point. But as you change the height of the water, observe carefully these points such that they will be either it will be here or there. You don't want a line that appears somewhere there. You don't want this kind of thing, because if you do this, when it comes to using the points on these lines, they will keep on jumping off our line and going where the grids are. So you don't want to do that. So let me just undo that and go back. Next, you'll come to one of these corners here where you can see these drag points, or the points that you use to drag the shape. Any one of them. Left click, and then you're going to see this Edit Points. You click on it and you can see now your shape has changed. At the corners, instead of having those round dots, you're going to have a black square dot in that position. And let's grab one of them and shift it. So again, I'm going to left click, drag and hold and drag rather, move it, and you can see another point remains there. And you can see now there are 2 points. There is one which is a little bit thinner than this one. The one which is thicker shows us the outline of our diagram. If, for instance, we didn't want our diagram to have any outline, those are the lines that we always remove. There is another line here at the center, a straight one, and you can see it's got a different color, reddish color. There is also another one which is here. These are the lines which are used to mark the planes for these figures, so that when you want to change its color, it changes easily. So we want to separate them so that we can be able to see what actually lies there. So I move the other outline figure like that, and I remain with this. Let me go on and shift them and see. You can see there were actually 3 lines there. Those are the lines that we want to play around with. And we are going to play around with this one and this one. And now draw our wave here. That's where we are going to draw. How do we do that? I'm going to show you how we do for one of the lines, and then you can continue all the way up to the end, because there are very many points that we are going to mark around here. And by the way, as we do this, I will expect that you keep on pausing the video and you do exactly as we go along, you also do it. So I want to add another point here. These ones are called edit points. So I'm going to put my cursor at that point, and you can see it changes shape. It becomes a transparent small square with all 4 sides. The moment that happens, I'm going to left click. And then you can see there's this drop down menu that prompts me to add a point, close the path, curved segment, exit, edit point. Of course, I don't want to exit. I want to add a point. I click on that, and there is a point added there. And then I'm going to add another one on this other line here. But because they are separate, I want to do the same on the other side. First of all, shift that one there, just like I did before. Let me take it up there so as to distinguish it from the others. I can always return them when I want. I will return them to that point at the right point, at the right time. There we have it. So this line and this line, those are the lines that we are going to use to draw our wave. So we are going to add edit points here. And I'm going to move in steps of 2 squares. 2 squares. You can move in steps of 4 squares or any number of squares you want, because you want to generate a wave along here. So let me add a couple of them. Sometimes when you click on the line like that, you find that a point just adds itself automatically. So don't worry about that. And remember, this line along which I'm adding the points is supposed to be as thin as possible. It's only that I'm using a thick line for the sake of capturing this information on this screen capture. So add your points like that. And you can see it's a very easy thing to do. You need a lot of patience when you're doing this. Sometimes if you click on the figure, sometimes the points just disappear. I'm going to show you in a moment when that one happens. And it's always easy to put them back. Like here, now I don't want to click at that point. I'll come over here, put my point there so that that other control arms, they move out of the way. You don't want to click on that, because you start clicking that, the line will start changing shape. So sometimes when you click along the line, you find that your points disappear suddenly. All you need to do, just left click on the figure to bring back the round dots at the corners, right click, edit points, and they come back. Now you're going to, on this other second line, you're going to put those points back. You're going to put points on this other second line like that in the exact same positions, and then once you've done that, and this is what I mean, click there, add a point, add another one, after you have added points all the way to the end, at that point, now leave this other third line, because like I said, much of this is about the color that you want to add onto the figure, and these lines are used to define the various planes that we have in this figure. You will come to the second point here, again left click, then change it into a smooth point. Click on that. It changes to a smooth point. Probably you're going to have a distortion of this line here. Don't worry about that. Just click on it and make it a straight segment. Go to the next point. Now don't do anything to the first point. Let it remain as a corner point, because by default, when you click on it, that line, that point that we had put there is a corner point. That is by default. We are just changing it into a smooth point. Go to the next one, smooth point. Next one, smooth point. You do all that for the points above here and for the points below here. Once you've done that, now I'm going to show you how we are going to generate a wave using those points. Okay, I hope you have completed your diagram. Like you can see, I've put all the marks. Okay, the one of the things I expected you to do was to split this other line here, but when you split the line on the other side, you will find just two lines. There will not be three, just two. Repeat the markings the way I showed you. I left a few points, like for example, I think it is this one, where I did not mark whether it was smooth or just a corner point. Notice what happens when I mark those points at the corners. You find that, okay, that one did not do what I was expecting. Let me mark this other one and you will see. You see, it curves. When it curves, don't worry. You'll just come to the line there. When you've got that cross marks there with a box at the center, just left click and you will say straight segment, and it goes straight. It becomes straight. Another thing, you must be careful not to mark on this second line here, because like I said, that one is used for a different purpose altogether. Now we are at a point where now we want to generate our wave. How? We will grab this point, I'll move it one step up, and this one also one step up. This one I move it one step down, and this one again one step down. And you can see a wave has started to develop. There's one step up, one step up. There's one step down, one step down. Again, you can see our wave is forming. Do that for all the points. And you can see now the importance of using the grid. When I want the point to move to a particular spot, it moves at the intersection of those grid lines. You can see that. So this kind of grid or matrix is useful. You can see you can be able to develop or to draw a very smooth line. You see, we are approaching what I had shown you earlier, what we are going to get. This is what we want to get. So we want to see how does it come about. So you will progress with that all the way to the end like this. Now at the end here, you might want to, okay, I'll move that one up just like before, up, but this other point here, I leave it at the center of the wave. I will leave it at the center of the wave. We will say that when I move this wave back, because I'm going to shift these points all the way back so that they can now coincide with this other one here, you'll find that this point will come here. So as soon as I make this, remember the point was to make this to be a straight point, a straight segment. So let me make it a little bit longer. And this one is important. Sometimes when the space is so small, just elongate or move the points elsewhere and then work on it away from the other points and then slide it back. Like for instance over here, because the lines were very close to each other, I find it necessary to move it slightly away. I left click on it and then I make it a straight segment when it is still there, so that when I move it back to where it's supposed to be, now it's already straight. Also this other one, make it a straight segment. You make those lines at the end to be straight. And you can see over here, between this peak or wave crest and this equilibrium point, I only have one space. Here I've got two of them. Not to worry, just make the line to be straight to start with. My points have disappeared. And remember to save from time to time, because sometimes when you've given this software very many commands, it can fail to execute some of them, and it may shut down unexpectedly. And if maybe you had not saved some of the workings, then you end up losing a lot of it. So save frequently. So let me put back the edit points. I just wanted to make this section here to be a straight segment, the same as this one, a straight segment, because all those points, for example, I'll move this one here, and something has happened here that is unexpected. So again, I'm going to make that one to be straight, not to worry. Again, this one is going to be a straight segment, and they're going to meet at that point, because that is where this one will come to, and this one will also come to the same point. But let me take it up there. This one too will eventually come back to this other point here. You can see it has curved slightly, so I'm going to shift everything here. If I shift it or another line inside there, the box or the dot will still persist. That means there is another line to move. It still persists. There is the last one to move, like that. And wherever you find that lines are becoming curved, you know what to do. If a line becomes curved and you don't want to be curved, just click, left click on it and convert it into a straight segment. So far, so good. Let's repeat with the top part again. Again, when you start here, you started by shifting this one up. That is exactly what you'll do. Shift it up like that. Then you shift the next one. You can see again, this one has started misbehaving. I make it into a straight segment. This one at the corner here is also supposed to be a straight segment. This one here supposed to be a straight segment, and so is this other very thin line there supposed to be a straight segment. Everything sorted out there other than this one here should also be a straight segment, because I noticed that it was curving somewhere around there. That's it. So this one moves down, this one also moves down. It is important that when you are drawing diagrams, you make them to be as proportional as possible. I've already explained why I'm using the grid. I'm using the grid in order to ensure proportionality. Notice that I'm not using any ruler over here. The grid is enough to help me solve any problem that I get as far as proportionality is concerned. And you can see I'm keeping the wavelength to be constant. It has got 4 squares. The amplitude is constant. It's got 1 square. I can change that for some of the points, and then I do the same for all the points. But I'll show you a simple trick where you change all the points simultaneously, especially once we have finished on the diagram completely. I can see this section here is becoming like curved. I want to make it a straight segment. This one too, I want to make it a straight segment, because eventually I'll have to shift this point here. So for now, I just leave that side as it is. At this point, you find that it is important to be very patient. The skill you are learning here is that those shapes that you get under insert shapes, any one of these, they've got these edit points, and you could change the shape, any one of those shapes, to give you what you need. For example, let us assume you wanted a pyramid. You look for the shape which looks very close to a pyramid, and that will be a cylinder, and then using these edit points to come up with a pyramid. These are some of the things which you are not taught when you are starting to use the drawing aspect of this software. Most people just know how to import a shape into the canvas. Sometimes we don't use a canvas at all, which is a huge mistake, because if you don't use a canvas, then when it comes to copying that shape into PowerPoint, you're going to have a lot of problems. So always start with a canvas, so that when you copy, it copies everything in the canvas. Very important. So let's finish up this. Remember to save from time to time. Learn to save your work as you progress. If you find that one of the points is not curving, then know that it wasn't a smooth point in the first place. So you immediately make it to be a smooth point, and that's that. So this is the most difficult part, to convert this cuboid into this kind of shape. With a little bit of imagination, you can be able to draw any diagram which is in that particular textbook, because you find that if you want your teaching to improve, or here is another example. You can see as I move this, I'm getting a line which is behaving a little bit funny. So I'll go there, make that section to be straight, also go there, Make that section there to be straight. Hope this one is straight too, and move this back one step up to that point. Let me just undo that, because it is this one that I want to shift back there. Make this line here again to be straight. This one is straight. You can see that because these lines are continuous, maybe a line that you had already made straight, you may find that it has curved. Just repeat the same. Now, I want to put now this diagram back to how it was. And before I do that, let's go to format so that you can see what happens when I try to fill the diagram with a certain color. So let me choose maybe the color, that color there. You can see what happens. That is what I was talking about. Some of the layers we have here, they are meant to be used for as a way of coloring the diagram. And I can see already it is as if we have made a mistake, because the layer that we were supposed to draw a wave in appears to be this one, which we didn't do. We didn't do that. So that appears to be a bit of a problem. So we might need to shift this one to how it was before. But let me just go on and now put the two waves together and now try to put the color. So this is what you're going to do. You remember you shifted this black line here, this thick line here upwards one step. So you're going to shift everything downwards just one step. So we shift every point downwards one step, becomes one continuous wave. One continuous wave. What you had was a cuboid. We grabbed one of the edges, drew a wave on it, and this is one of the skills that you can use to do that. See now our edge is taking the right shape. By the way, by shifting these points to different positions, you can make your wave to have a given amplitude, because you just need to increase the amount, the displacement of that particle. Now this is what I was saying. When you move a point, sometimes those lines suddenly become curved. You go back and make them straight once again. It's not a big deal. Just make them straight once again. Even here, make it straight. Here it has added a point. So what you do, first of all, you go and delete the point in order to put it back to how it was before. Straight segment. Again, straight segment. So sometimes these diagrams can give you all those are some of the problems which you encounter as you try to draw. So I'm going to shift this one here back to that corner, how it was before, and I'll do exactly the same to this other corner here. The points were, we say that we are going to shift this one to this point here. So everything shifts there. So this one will have to shift here. Again, we have the same problem of having a shape that gets distorted. You exercise a lot of patience when you are drawing this, because without patience, if you run out of patience, you'll find that your diagram may not make sense at all, and you can easily give up somewhere in the middle. Let me first of all make this one to be straight. The construction lines actually they serve as a guide, very good guide. I hope I won't have any one of those problems. Let me see the problem I'm having over here. I think it is with this section, which is supposed to be straight, so that this one can move here, and it is curved so much. So again, I make it straight, accepted, and this one should go back there, distorts that section, not worry. Let me continue with the other point so that we can work on all the other straight lines which have become curved as we work along. And you can see a neat wave and a neat three-dimensional diagram is taking shape. It's taking shape. I've got the crests and the troughs of a wave. Let's suppose you're watching this video and you have absolutely no idea. Okay, here is one of the things that I was talking about. There is a point here which I think I need to delete. Yeah. Sometimes when you find such things happening, just delete some points which you may have put there by mistake. Again, I want to make this section straight first before I shift the point there. Again, I can see it's becoming a little bit stubborn. There you have it. Their section that is now just the last section, this point here, and we want to make it to be straight. Let's just hope that our diagram now sort of has taken the shape, and the waves, they are like the corrugations of the iron sheets of a building, because that is how they look like. Now I've got to draw the wavefront, and to draw the wavefront, again, it's very easy. I'll go to insert, get a straight line. Now draw a straight line from one of the crests and take it to that point there. Okay, it can't be seen properly because it coincides with the edge of the diagram. Let me just increase its thickness, make it a little bit thicker. I'm going to copy and paste that line. It appears somewhere within the canvas. Bring it to this other point. And this is what I was saying. When you use the grid, when you move the lines, they move to exact positions. Now I'm going to copy the two of them and drag them to that position. I copy now the four of them. I copy and paste. Control C is to copy, Control V is to paste. And because the few are remaining here, I can paste the same. And there we have it. You can also use these arrow keys to move it. And finally, what I do, I just copy and paste just one, because that is what was remaining. And you can see now our wave has taken shape. The rest is now to try and maybe beautify this wave and something like that. You could use it when it is like that. There's something I'm suspecting that we may have done wrong somewhere. And okay, let me see. It's the shape which I want to fill in. It's not the page. Shape fill in. Okay, let me just use that color. You can see something strange has happened. There's one of the planes there, just colored, and it appears as if it's going to spoil our shape, because actually that line is the one where we ought to have drawn our wave. Then we ought to have left the other one, but somehow we made that mistake. Now, but since I don't want to repeat the whole of this, because you can see it is quite a procedure, because the next thing to do is to try and get that other line and generate a wave similar to this one, following the same method. The point I wanted to use was to try and shift that plane to see whether I could shift it downwards. If I shift it downwards, it's going to color this section completely. Remember, it came about as a result of not identifying the correct line. Remember, on this side we have two lines, so those ones we are supposed to place edit points on the line. When it comes to this one, there is the third line. We are supposed to have identified the plane that corresponds to the other line here, to the second line, and pick the same plane here and do that. That way we would have gotten our wave the way mine looks here. But let's suppose that you can go back and make those corrections. Now I want to show what the students are going to see on the floor here. Now remember that you may be a physics teacher and you understand what I'm talking about. You may be teaching a different subject and you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about wave crest and wave troughs. What you can pick from this video is the skill of converting any one of those shapes into a diagram that you want. That is what I want to pick from this lesson. Now, as we do this experiment, the students will be looking at the floor and they are going to see a point where the crests are focused onto the floor, because the crests, they behave like convex lenses, so they converge rays of light. So they are going to see a straight line corresponding to this wave front, and that straight line is exactly here. It is this one. So that is what they are going to see on the floor. So we want to draw that. So those lines are going to have equal spacing as these lines. How do I do that without redoing so many things? It's very easy. I'm going to copy these lines that I've put here. And remember, these lines, you can format them any way you feel like. Like, for example, I can select all of them and decide to format them in terms of the color that I want to use for them over there. And you can see the color is changing. But this time, I want to group them so that they behave like one object or one shape. So I select all of them. I'll come to format. And then at the very end, I'll go to group. Click on that arrow and then click group. When I click that, now all those lines behave like one object. And I'm going to copy, Control C, and then paste, Control V, because I want those diagrams exactly there at the bottom. So let me move it to where it was, and you can see the importance of the grid. It makes it so easy to do that. So I move my image to the floor. That's where my floor is going to be. But now I want that image to be on the other side, to be placed at the back. What do? Again, since I have that object selected, I will go to Format, and then I will go to Send Back. I click here once, it doesn't move, twice, and you can see it moves. When you want, you see when you are drawing, you have several layers. The topmost layer will hide the layer at the bottom. So that is how that diagram is drawn. And when now it comes to drawing the edge of the repo tank, for example, it's very simple. And I'm going to show you in the next video where now I take this diagram that we have drawn using Microsoft Word, we put it in PowerPoint, and then we are going to animate that. We can do that in PowerPoint. There will be no problem there. So make sure that you join me in the next video where I will show you how to animate this, because just drawing this is not enough. You will be interested to see how I achieve this. You can see I have a beautiful frame for my whiteboard. I have the repo tank there, and I have the waves which are moving. And at the bottom, the students are able to see this. So where can you use this? You can use this in a real classroom situation if you don't have a repo tank in your school. You can use it in conjunction with a projector. You just need to connect your computer to a projector, and then you display this on a screen. You can use the wall of your room as the screen, and then the students will be able to see those waves. Just in case you might be having a bit of a problem with how to connect the projector, I have a video that I have already prepared. I had prepared that a long time ago, helping teachers how to go about doing the connections. It's a very simple video. Apparently, it has become very popular with the teachers because I appear to have mentioned some of the problems which teachers encounter when they're using the projector. And it is a very simple video to understand, and it's not as long as this one. So if you might be having a problem on how to use the projector in conjunction with your laptop in order to show your students something which is already in your computer, such as this simulation here, just go to that video. Just click on that link up there. You'll be able to see it, and it will take you to that video. The next thing I want to appeal to you is this. We can achieve so much if we work together. I have so much that I'd like to share with the teachers. And if you don't want to miss any one of those lectures or videos that I make, the best thing for you to do is to subscribe if you have not done that. I will really appreciate that. I'll be sharing so many things with you, including the next one that I'm planning is to show you how you can have a consolidated document with a neat navigation for everything, starting from the most basic professional documents that you make. You are provided with the syllabus. The teacher makes the scheme of work, prepares lesson outlines or lesson notes, teaches, examines the students, and all that. Everything that you do professionally, I have put them in one document. It's a document with at least 1,000 pages. then you're wondering, how is it possible to go through a document with 1,000 pages without having to scroll so much? I've put a very neat navigation on the left hand side, so that all you need to do is just go to the index. It is on the left hand side, and if you've organized your work well, you will always be able to prepare something once and for all, and then you can repeat that year in, year out. This one will be very important, especially for young teachers. If you're just beginning your teaching career, and maybe you've made a lesson plan on a particular concept, remember that you will be making that lesson plan every year. Why don't you make one lesson plan once and for all, and then keep it? Then keep improving on it. And the good thing with my lesson plans is that I've given you the links, such that if you are using your lesson plan right now, you just need to click somewhere within the same lesson plan. It brings a PowerPoint, it takes you to a video, it takes you to a question, it takes you anywhere. My lesson plans are what I refer to as smart lesson plans. They have links all over, and that makes the teacher's work very easy, because you don't have to scroll through your computer looking for documents. You have already created links for those documents. So until next time, when I show you how you animate the diagram that we have already drawn for the waves, it's bye-bye.